And we're back! Except the celebration on Crossover Sports. Still trying to find Becky. Scott, how's it going?
Billy, is that you?
It might be.
Golly gee, Bill. I don't know where Becky is. I don't even know where Becky's sister is.
Might have to hire the services of one Scooby-Doo.
Is that hippie-looking bus packed outside?
It is. It's normally by a snow cone stand.
The Mystery Machine?
Yeah.
Sounds like a ride at some third world amusement park.
So what are we Scooby-Dooing this segment?
I don't know. Did Velma Alma play this weekend?
Probably.
Or Thelma Alma?
I think they went off a cliff.
Played in Daphne, Alabama?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, that's good, wasn't it? Well, Shaggy might be the way to explain the way the two of the state schools played this weekend, one in an unconvincing win, the other in a convincing loss. And then, though, Bill, you know what I want to start with?
Who's that?
How about the Tulsa Golden Hurricane going 3 overtimes before finally spitting the bit against SMU?
You had a chance to win. Kick that field goal.
The SMU, let me see if I get this right now, okay? They miss a field goal. Now,
Yes.
Tulsa has the ball in overtime number 2, right?
Yes.
A field goal wins it. You throw an incomplete pass on first down. I believe you do another one on second down. You know, I'm thinking if you get 2 yards a carry and you do it 3 times, wouldn't that the odds be in your favor to maybe go for the 3 there? I'm just asking now.
Yeah,
I'm not a football coach.
You already start off in field goal range, even if you have a bad field goal kicker, just based on where you start off in overtime. Get a couple of yards, get whatever placement that he wants.
Get it under 40 because I think there's a mindset. Now, it shouldn't be, but a 39-yarder, you better make that if you're on a college roster.
Yeah, and I mean, they played great. I mean, Tulsa came out and played great, but goof it up in overtime.
I really want to know if anybody walked in and said, hey, guys, sorry, you guys played your butts off and we gacked at the end with our play calling.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that didn't happen. But you know what, Bill? It needs to, because they betrayed that team with the way they called that second overtime.
Do you think, especially now with offensive gurus and overthinking plays, do you think people overthink a lot of plays that work and get you just a couple of yards? So whether it be slant passes, whether it be a handoff up the gut, whether it be, you see a lot of, I don't want to say trick plays now, but the play that's becoming in vogue where the tight end runs across and they hand the tight end the ball as he runs across, that right now is gashing teams for about 10 to 15 yards if they haven't figured that one out.
Here's how much I think that you're right there. How about this? Now, this is an insane idea, I know. And I realize that I'm coming from, a galaxy
way back there,
far away, excessively far away.
Somewhere, right?
But,
there he is.
But let's say that you're in a short yardage situation, okay? How about this? How about a quarterback that walks up to the line of scrimmage and places his hands under the center? No. You can do that. It's legal.
It's legal.
It's legal. And when you need like a half a yard, and you don't have to like turn to now you're 2.5 or 3 yards back because you took the snap and now you're in a pistol or some other formation. But you know what? We don't have the mentality to practice this for 5 minutes of practice on actually getting up and taking a snap from center to get a half a yard. So yeah, I think things are overthought. From the point when that happened forward, when we're too sensitive to have time to get, because the other thing, Bill, that might cause contact.
Well,
while you're practicing.
how about just practicing being able to read when to do that? If you watched Jacoby Brissett
Yeah.
for Indianapolis, maybe the worst quarterback sneaker I've ever seen in my life, for a guy that size not being able to move the pile unless Marlon Mack comes up behind you and pushes you 2 yards.
I would say the only worst quarterback sneaker would be Cinderella's glass slipper.
I thought you were going to say Mark Sanchez.
That's close. Same kind of makeup.
But this guy cannot move the pile. There was a play he missed completely of when he should have done it. There was nobody in front of his center. He would have ran for probably about 5 yards. The next play, they do it with him, and Marlon Mack's got to come and save the day, and his offensive lineman has got to pull him across. I don't know that he can find holes, but there is an art to it. Tom Brady has mastered it over the years, but any legitimate quarterback should be able to get you a yard.
I just don't get it. And, I will say this, though, earlier in the year, one of the Oklahoma State games, it was the first time in, I don't know, a decade that I can remember where they lined up under center to get a half a yard. I just think that, what a crazy idea that is. And Bill, we talked about overthinking. If you remember last week, we were talking about it in terms of baseball. Mm-hmm. And, whether you're a hitter or a pitcher or whatever. And I brought up the point that it seems to me that managers, and I guess it just comes with how every decision is worth X amount of dollars, in some ridiculous algorithm somewhere. And so I think that's one of the reasons why. I think the more monies that is at stake on whether you leave a guy in or you bring the left-hander in, or in this case, you'll, God forbid, line up under center to get a half a yard, there's a lot riding on it. And not just whether, Dale and Brandy up in this, in the high seats are having a good time and are going to buy season tickets next year. There's more to it.
They are. They tweeted in. They are having a good time.
But they're going to move out. They're not going to have the same seats.
Listen, if a quarterback sneak or whatever obvious play that gets me yardage costs me my job for winning a ball game, I'll take that all day long.
Absolutely, and that's. But I think that's part of it. So Tulsa, you had me. And then you lost me. OSU, you lost me from the very beginning. That was one of the most pathetic, not surprising Oklahoma State performances. I just think, Bill, there's a quote that Gundy said, and every coach says it, and I'm going to give you my take on it, and I want yours.
Okay.
He talked about how the players got outplayed, and then he did that standard, and we got out-coached, all right? I don't know about you. If year after year I'm walking in to my company where I'm responsible for the global sales of everything we have, and there's a company near me that is outselling me, and I walk into the board meeting to explain it, and I say, well, we got outsold. We got out whatever it is, okay? What that really means is I got outworked. Yeah. What that means is they put more effort, whether it was working smarter, but they're working harder than I am to achieve success because they're getting it, because there's no smoke and mirrors. There isn't. And in your line of work, if you aren't contributing to the bottom line and other people are doing a better job of it, it isn't because some happenstance global warming or climate change or whoever's in office or whether or not Hong Kong's free. You get outworked. And I think he's getting outworked. I think his staff's been getting outworked the past couple of years. And frankly, I don't think I could go to my board and go, you know what, I need a raise because I've been getting outworked the past 2 or 3 years. That to me is the biggest, what do you want to call it? Just a blow-off thing to say.
Well, there's
consequences to it.
Coaches and players all have about 10 10 selection segment that they will say after a game, and that's one of the ones that I hate the most because it's a little too excessive. And the reason being is just because it's just so kind of tongue-in-cheek. Like, let's just be honest. This is why I love the Greg Popoviches of the world. This is why I love...
my side stayed up.
You're holding up your end. It's getting out, my side's getting outworked.
It's going to fall.
But that's why I love even Belichick to some degree, and Saban is, yeah, they may say very little, but at least it's different. Like, you saying you get outworked, okay, so your game plan coming in and your preparation was all for nothing. Why'd you even show up to the game at that point?
Yeah, because if you're outcoached, you're outworked.
Yeah.
There's no other way around it.
Yeah. Like, go into detail of what's happening. Like, so Andy Reid's notorious for scripting 15 plays. When those 15 plays don't work, Andy Reid coming into a press box and, well, we scripted 15 plays. It didn't really work. We made some adjustments. Here's what we did, and we won the game. This of us getting outclassed, outcoached, whatever, there was no motivation. We know what we need to do. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Like Baker going off going, we know what we need to do. Well, catch the ball, run the ball, block people.
Didn't you know that before the first kickoff?
You're just figuring that out after this game. Like, that's not a good recipe to win games.
Yeah, Sanders. I don't care who you are. You could probably beat McNeese State or South Dakota, giving the ball away 5 times.
Well, and
not getting any back.
In all fairness to Sanders, again, at some point, freshmen, sophomores are still going to struggle in a game. There's always at least one game where they have I don't want to say meltdown, but they struggle to some degree. Like, reality hits them a little bit, and they're going to struggle. Maybe this will be the only game, and down goes Frazier. Maybe this will be the only game that it happens. Maybe it won't be. I don't put it all on Sanders and his expectations because he's played tremendously. He's looked amazing, and I think there's nothing but brighter future, and especially him coming back next year as far as what this team can be.
Sure.
I mean, the outlook is amazing for him.
Yeah, I will tell you this. It's pretty interesting because, I've said all along that was going to be an issue, that he was going to be inconsistent. There is, and you could go do the research, and I should have this with me, but I'm not quite as prepared today as normal.
Neither was our sign.
There's a matrix out there showing Sanders through his first 6 games compared to Brandon Whedon's first 6 games and Mason Rudolph's first 6 games.
Yeah.
And the comparisons are eye-opening, how close they are and everything. The only outlier in that group of statistics for the first 6 games for those quarterbacks is that Whedon certainly doesn't have the running yards that both. Zach Robinson was the other one. It was Robinson and Mason Rudolph and Sanders, and those 3 guys.
And Rudolph doesn't have the rushing yard yet.
Yeah. And he won't after yesterday either. So, but Bill, real quick, he was 22 for 37, 290 yards. I thought they played pretty hard in the second half when, by all accounts, it was over, especially when they fumbled the ball down there. But Hubbard, 34 for 156 and 3 TDs. He's still effective.
If he played on any other team, he would be getting mentioned for Heisman easily.
Yeah. I mean, Kirk Herbstreit's the only guy so far that's come out and said he's the best player in college football, but that doesn't mean you're going to win the Heisman, and not anymore. So.
And he should be up there in talks with all those guys easily. This guy is, I don't want to say he's carried OSU, but there's been a couple of games where he's carried OSU.
Yeah.
I mean,
at least through a period of time before they were able to reconnect from a passing game standpoint.
And I mean, really the same could be said about Wallace too. If he was on, and if Wallace played at Alabama, we'd be talking about this guy all day long, nonstop on the media of, Have you seen Wallace and the new guy at
Yeah.
Alabama that's tearing it up?
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, he was a Blitnikoff finalist last year, so somebody was paying attention. But you're right that they're going to get lost in it.
Yeah.
Hey, how about not playing on ESPN Plus twice? Maybe
Yeah.
that would help as well. But
Well, and
all 8 of the non-big boys signed up for that.
in all fairness, though, there are teams around the league that have that one or two players that could be mentioned, but Chuba Hubbard this year has gone out of his way to not be or to be on that list.
Yeah, I mean,
or at least be invited.
There's nobody even close to him, so that's fair.
There's only one that I can think of, but we've seen his kind of plus minus when he leaves the field. He's a little bit injury prone, but Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin. But
yeah, he's playing Bowling Green or Kent State or whoever it was. So it'll all balance out. But yeah, I mean, to consider the fact that he's not going to. I mean, he's obviously going to be first team All-American running back, probably
Should be
Taylor at this point. Wallace 11 catches, 85 yards, a TD. Stoner 5 catches, 76 yards, a touchdown. And Jordan McRae 2 for 82. This is such an interesting stat. As bad as they played, they led in both time of possession and third down efficiency. Again, I just think they got outworked, and they've got 2 weeks now to try to get ready for the team that you and I both thought out of that next group after the first 2, and probably we had given Iowa State a little bit of an edge, which Baylor showed us that was wrong. But I think us having Baylor in the up, at the top of that next group was fair. Now, either OSU does something about it a week from Saturday on homecoming, and historically they've been pretty tough on Baylor in Stillwater. But man, oh man, I don't know what the odds are right now. But there's no way Oklahoma State's favored in that game. I can promise you that.
Baylor's looking really scary right now.
Yeah,
and
defensively as well, Bill.
Even with, I'll tell you what I don't want to hear. So you've got 2 weeks to prepare for Baylor, and I'm sure they'll prepare a little bit for their next team coming up too. But you've got 2 weeks to prepare for Baylor.
Well, I hope not. I mean, I hope all they do is prepare for Baylor.
I have a feeling coaches do that.
The analysts and stuff may, but man, they better have their focus.
But after that 2 weeks, let's just say OSU gets drummed. I do not want to hear Gundy come back. We got out-coached. I don't need to hear that again.
No, it's pretty obvious. That's like, let me ask you this: you walk in, Maddox is sitting at the dinner table, and whatever you got him to drink is now laying on his plate, soaking up the food that's there. Does Maddox need to look at you and go, yeah, the cup spilled into the food?
It got outworked.
Yeah. We know what's going on.
Right.
Oh man, I'll tell you what though, Bill. I wasn't sure that I knew what was going on for a while up in Kansas, especially when the vaunted Jayhawks jumped out to that insurmountable 7-0 lead.
Let's just call it what it was. It was a glorified scrimmage. The thing, though, the biggest takeaway that you have for OU is, even with the win, it's a bad win because of all the late touchdowns that were allowed. And I know it's second, third stringers in there, but guess what? National media, AP poll, they don't see that. They see the score as you almost lost by 20, or you almost got caught up back, or Kansas almost caught back up. It's a terrible win.
Well, and Bill, here's something that I think a lot of people, I don't know if they are aware of this or they just don't see it as ever a real issue. If for some reason you got into a 3-way tie to determine the 2 teams that are going in, after a couple of the first one, and obviously there's no head-to-head with the 3-way tie, everybody beats everybody in that scenario, margin of victory eventually comes into play.
Yeah.
You can't afford anymore to really let your foot off the gas, or even if it's, let's say it's something that happens subconsciously, you just can't afford it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying play your starters through the whole game, but ratchet up the defense a little bit, maybe get one of the other second teamers, or maybe put in a first round. You got to do something, because you can't afford to have it come down to the end of the year where they're trying to figure out if we should put a one-loss Georgia team in versus a zero-loss Oklahoma team. Oh, well, if you went back to week 5 and you saw a Kansas game, man, they look pretty bad. Because I guarantee you this committee, and I know
They're
a lot of
looking
it,
for that.
yeah, a lot of these computers, because right now, let's be honest, the teams that they have in the top 6 that they're ranking there, and I know it's all done by computer after that, but if they're going to rank them that way, and it may all shake out differently, you never know. I mean, when the computer rankings come out, hell, Clemson may fall down, but it's tough. It's tough, and from the eye test, it doesn't look good because everybody doesn't watch every single game every Saturday or every Sunday or every Thursday.
I try to, though. I'm one of the few that does, literally. But
Right.
no, you're right. You're right. Well, Bill, I think you're forgetting, though, that the Seminoles are coming to town.
Ooh.
So
Are they just picking up a hot dog? What are they?
no, they're actually going to go out onto that field and try to play that game that what it was football.
Oh, they remember how to play it now?
I didn't say that.
Oh,
I
okay.
think they're coming around, though.
Okay.
You know, they almost beat Boise State this year.
They're almost there. Excessive celebration on Crossover Sports, reminding you you're still better than Florida State, and get that app.